Chad used to think he was indecisive, but now he's not sure. Please help me welcome Chad in his speech, Truth and Integrity.
Can we agree to disagree?
Yes.
Let me repeat that. Can we agree to disagree?
Yes.
I don't believe we can.
Of course, I'm not sure.
If you've been paying attention to all the vehement divisiveness that we've been catching on the news these days from not only just south of the border in the US, but also out of France with their elections, in Britain with Brexit, and the Netherlands recently with their election, and even here in Canada. What I'm finding is that we can find two people to disagree, to agree to disagree with a third person, but it's very seldom you can find two people that can agree to agree. They can agree to disagree with somebody else, but they can't seem to come to any point of agreement. It's not happening if you're paying attention to the news. I decided to look at a bit of a solution here, and I thought if I could sit down and find out what the people that had these extremely polar viewpoints, what they were trying to say, what they were really trying to, what they really believed in. I was basically just trying to understand what was going on. And what I came away with was that, for the most part, they have a very tough time. Well, they like to accept or find attractive conspiracy theories because life is very complicated and conspiracy theories are much more attractive to try and understand. So they're good at attacking things, but not very good at moving on with stuff. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, I'm really kind of excited today to be speaking at this time and on this subject and in this place. Why at this time? Well, about 26, 27 years ago, I was working here, and a friend of mine, John Rawlings, suggested that I could join Toastmasters to improve my negotiating skills. I was on the negotiating bargaining team. And I went, it was one of my 3 regrets in life, I waited 25 years before I joined. One of the things I got after joining Toastmasters, and I've only been here for a year, is I learned some eloquent listening skills. Biggest thing of all, I learned how to listen. So going to those people and asking them what they were really believing, I wasn't trying to steer them too much. I was just listening. Now, another reason why this time is kind of important to me, a few years ago, well, 20 years ago, I was in school, and I had a law professor that was always excited to come in and talk to us about, it was talking about the difference between civil and criminal law. And at the time, the O.J. Simpson civil law trial was going on. And all the information was rather ubiquitous at the time. It was out there everywhere. Everywhere you looked, it was in the news constantly. So we didn't have to talk about the difference between criminal and civil law in a theoretical basis. It was going on. And I want to talk today about divisiveness. And I don't know about you, but it's more obvious today than at any time in the history that I've been alive. It's rampant everywhere. There's all this anti-Trump, anti-this, anti-that out there. The news is covered with it constantly. So it's a great time to be talking about it. And why this place? Well, as I said, I used to work here. And I was, about 24 years ago, I was laid off from computer devices with several hundred other people at the time. And a couple of weeks later, it was discovered I had cancer. And for the next year, well, about a year later, actually, after my cancer was discovered, I also suddenly became homeless. And this was after spending a year, several operations and lengthy recuperations. And I ended up getting to some calamity. And calamity is one of those things that I think is required to have any kind of review of self. I think you need calamity in your life to get yourself looking at what your problems might be. You have to come to some sort of acceptance that you've got a bit of a problem. And then you have to take some action to change some things in your life. And here was my calamity. Because, homeless, unemployable, and unemployed, no money, that's kind of a calamity place. And at that time, I ran out and I got all the books and tapes from all these self-help gurus, and I learned how to, walk through my fears and take things on. And I studied Anthony Robbins and Stephen R. Covey and Albert Ellis and Wayne Dwyer, and I tried all these techniques. They were from writing my eulogy down to, from different perspectives, to trying to practice principles of RET, rational emotive therapy, and everything in between. I tried it all, and it was insufficient. It didn't work. What I really needed was an entire psychic change. I needed to change how I looked at things. Fortunately, around that time, I came across some other individuals who had experienced the same things I had. And they, not only did they empathize with me, which is a little bit better than sympathy, but they also were willing to share their experience with the solution on a rather altruistic way. Altruism means without any kind of benefit, like they don't get anything back, monetarily or anything else. So the principle of altruism was that. And the first thing they had me do was, so now I've had this calamity and I finally get to this place, and they tried to help me accept or acknowledge what was going on. And they had me look at my instincts, most of my basic instincts, and just saying, how are these things out of whack? Now, I could go on for quite a while about a number of the areas that I looked at, but I'll just pick a few words that I had to look at the time. One of the words I picked to look at was fair. And I used to define fair as fair for me, not to you. What I realize is, that may not be much, but I am all I think of. Seems to come out that way all the time. So I wondered what was going on with all this. So I had to change some things there. And by the way, I just wasn't accepting life on life's terms. Right? So if anybody knows where life's terms are posted on the internet, I'd like to go, can you send that link to me so I can go in and renegotiate some of those terms I just don't like a lot of, right? Another word I was messing up with was deserve. When I said it and used it, I was really meaning desire. And I went back to all the situations I'd used it, and I meant desire. Now, why did I start looking at all these things? Well, one of the things, I don't have an eidetic memory, so please let me apologize. After there was a poem that was discovered in a crypt at Westminster Abbey in the 12th century, and it was written by a bishop. And if I could just read that to you and what it really talks about, it really speaks to what the subject that I'm talking about is. When I was young and free and my imagination had no limits, I dreamed of changing the world. As I grew older and wiser and realized the world would not change, and I decided to shorten my sights somewhat and change only my country, but it too seemed immovable. As I entered my twilight years in one last desperate attempt, I sought to change only my family, those closest to me, but alas, they would have none of it. And now here I lie on my deathbed and realize, perhaps for the first time, that if only I had changed myself first, then by example I may have influenced my family, and with their encouragement and support, I may have bettered my country, and who knows, I may have changed the world. And it talks about change, and I think the solution to all these things that we need to look at is change of self, rather than trying to, nobody else is going to change, but I need to change how I'm looking at things, and I have to go through the effort to do that. And so once I had come to this acceptance that I had a problem, I was introduced to a process to help me make these changes. Right? And the first part of the process was basically inventorying my faults and mistakes, and then trying to work on them to change things. And basically what I found was the most common thing that I was doing was just not doing what I felt like doing. Because what I felt like doing was usually the inappropriate thing. Take the tougher road, that fork in the road that you talked about earlier, take the tougher road. And that's where the benefits come. And so in conclusion, Mr. Chair, I don't know what else to kind of refer to do anything, but I'd like to leave you with kind of a quote from Plato that covers, there I go again, I call it Plato. So quick to lie, I'm so quick to lie. It was Socrates. Plato was talking about what Plato had said, or what Socrates had said. And he said, an unexamined life is a life not worth living.
use a 1 minute to write down some feedback for Chad on this forum?
Sure, go right ahead.